So what I want you to do is to stop switching. Stop multitasking, because you're not anyway. What I want you to do is manage tasks, not at the same time, but not do them at the same time. And the way you do that is you have to get up into your prefrontal lobes. You have to get up in your prefrontal cortex and start making analysis and analytical decisions. You have to look at problem solving, prioritize, validate, this sort of thing. So analyze your tasks, list them on a piece of paper, prioritize them, and then set priorities. Validate. Take that list into your loved ones, into your managers, into your peers. Does this look right to you? There's nothing wrong with that. Validate it often, because your idea of what your priorities are and what your manager's priorities might be different, and they may change every other day. So do that. Even if it's informal, validate the priorities. Create cues. What do I mean by that? Create task cues to engage a task. Write down the key stuff somewhere or type it into a terminal. Keep it in a folder, a place where you can find it often. Don't have to reinvent it each time. That'll save you all kinds of time. Okay? So you create a task queue, then engage the task. And the difference between switching to a task and engaging a task is this. If you're switching, you're leaving something. If you're engaging, you're going to something. It's a whole different aspect. If you're leaving something, you haven't quite left it. If you're going to something, you left it. Okay? And I'll explain. De-engaging is when you leave that task, dump your mind, dump everything that's going on onto a piece of paper or on the computer terminal. Don't lose it, because if you think you're going to remember it, you won't. We have an old saying in Texas, a quart jar holds a quart. And what that means is, if it gets full and you try to pour more in, more is going to come out. The brain will dump without your acknowledgement, without your approval, stuff that it needs to dump in order to gather more stuff. So you can only hold so much. Dump it. When you leave the task, dump everything important to the task on a piece of paper or in a computer terminal, and don't lose all that potential energy. Keep it. That way, and then you don't worry about it anymore. And the cool thing about de-engaging, instead of switching, is that you left it. You put a demarcation point up. And I have something I'd like to read to you from Harvard Business Review. March. Why is it that 25 and 50% of people report feeling overwhelmed or burned out at work? It's not just the number of hours. It's also the fact that we spend too many continuous hours juggling too many things at the same time. What we've lost above all are stopping points, finish lines, and boundaries. You have to put a boundary between your tasks. What I'm saying is, when you leave a task, complete it, even though it's partial completion, and then leave it. And that allows you to go to the next task unfettered by any ghosts of the other tasks, and you're free to operate in that next task, prioritized, fully engaged, and you're much more efficient. I would say twice as efficient. So, some other things, some other tips: reduce your task load. Analyze all those tasks and delete the ones that you shouldn't be doing. Maybe you're doing tasks because you just like to do them, but I got to tell you, you don't have time. You don't have time for that. You have time to do the stuff that's a priority from here, not from here. From here, not from here. Prefrontal cortex, not limbic system. So do an honest evaluation and just stop doing tasks that you shouldn't be doing. Number 2, delegate tasks. Why don't we delegate more tasks? Delegate tasks to people that can do them efficiently, that you can train to do them. Why don't we like to delegate? Any ideas? Loss of control. We can do them better ourselves. We don't trust them. By the time it took to train them how to do it, we could have done it. Right? This is the problem, though. You never complete anything. How many times have you completed a task and it stayed completed? Think about it. It always comes back like a bad penny. You got to open it up again and do more stuff. If you train someone to do it, if you delegate, they can take care of it. Delegation is your leverage as young managers and the future of success, because you can't do it yourself. You need help, and people are willing to help. You got to invest the time, though, and it's gut-wrenching. I've lost a lot of nights' sleep delegating, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't trust them, but I did it. And you know what? Mistakes were made. And luckily, I didn't take the blame. No, luckily I took the blame. I took the blame. Be willing to be imperfect in order to double your productivity, and it's okay. Mistakes are okay. Just don't do them twice, you know. Transfer task. Maybe you're doing a task that should be done by somebody else. Why don't we transfer more tasks that we're doing when somebody else should be doing them? Any suggestions? Confrontation, maybe? Maybe it's uncomfortable to do this. Maybe you're dealing with adversity when you try to transfer something that someone else should be doing to them, but do it. Do it because it's not going to go away. You need to address those things, and there's a way to address it. There's a way to address it with negotiation in a friendly way. Handshakes, important. Does everybody know how to do a handshake? Can we do one? Could I have a volunteer, Paul, please? Let's do a handshake. We'll do a professional handshake so you know how to negotiate transferring tasks. Please sit. Thank you. Okay, now Paul's sitting at his desk working, and I walk up. Hey, Paul, what's happening?
Hey, all right. How you doing?
Pretty good. Okay, what did Paul do? He stood up. Don't sit down and shake anyone's hand. Always stand up for 2 reasons. First reason, be their equal. Never subordinate yourself to anybody. Stand up to shake someone's hand. Second, it shows respect. It's respectful. The second thing Paul did right was he docked. He docked properly. And that is in here. You want to dock properly. You don't want to do this. This is not a handshake. I don't know what it is. Okay? Okay? Let's dock. Dock, grab, shake. Okay, firm shake. When do you let go? You don't let go. They let go first. Wait for them to let go. Okay? And I'll tell you, I have some interesting relationships based on that. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. A hand for Paul, please. Thank you. Okay. So a handshake is very important in business. Sometimes it gives first impressions. In some cultures, it's everything. Make a good impression. If you have a bad start and you get one of these, the thing to do would be say, you know, take your hand away and say, you know, you deserve a better handshake than that, and go in and dock. Make sure you dock and give a nice firm handshake. Okay? So if you take nothing more away, we can do good handshakes at the end. Okay, so shave task. What I mean by that is take your processes, scope them out, block them out in a block diagram, eliminate all non-value added activity. That's all that is. Reduce scope if you can. This is what you think you're doing when you're multitasking. Okay? It's really interesting. Time starts, t equals 0, and you engage task 1. Then you go down and you think you're engaging task 2, but you really switched. And you think there's a monkey in the back of your brain working on task 1. It's a task monkey. Okay? Then you engage task 3, and you think you've got 2 task monkeys working on task 1 and 2 in the back of your head. Okay? Then you engage task 4, and you think you have 3 monkeys working in the back of your head, task 1, 2, and 3. Then you engage task 5, and you think you have 4 monkeys working in the back of your head on the other tasks, right? You're working them all at the same time. But this is what you're actually doing. You're switching. You engage task 1, then you switch to task 2. And what's happened there, as you can see, you've got a shadow in the back of task 1 because you never let it go. It's what I call TUI, tasking under the influence. Okay? Tasking under the influence of other tasks. Okay? It's a task ghost, and you're not really fully engaged with that task. Now you go back to task 1 again, you switch. Now you have three tasks working. These 2 tasks, the first task 1 is a ghost, and then task 2, and then you go on and on and on. By the time you get to task 5, and notice there's no task 4 because you didn't prioritize properly, so you forgot about task 4. You get to task 5, look at all the ghosts you have. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're overwhelmed. You've got all this stuff behind you. You're not even breathing anymore. You're over the terminal defeated like this, taking shallow breaths and suffocating yourself at your terminal. The idea is you need demarcation points. And the way to do it, and this is what your day looks like, particularly on Monday morning, okay? Just a sea of stuff happening.